So I saw this production originally in about 30 years ago at the Vaudeville Theatre in the West End, and I was a very keen kind of amateur magician. So I was absolutely intrigued by all the illusions to create the invisibility literally live on stage. 30 years later, I got the opportunity to do it again here at Eastbourne Theatres, and I knew that if I was going to take it on, I'd need to find a really, really excellent magic consultant illusionist. And somebody mentioned this gentleman to me who I was aware of, Scott, and we had a phone call, and to my amazement, he said, "Oh, that sounds interesting," and here we are. Because I think you said to me that you'd had invisibility on your sort of bucket list, is that right?
That's right, it was always a show that I wanted to do if it ever came up. Done all sorts of different productions, Dracula and so forth, but this was quite a challenge because it's got the record for the most number of tricks.
And the actual record?
Yeah.
Do you know how many it is?
It was over 50.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I thought I'd give it a go, really. There's a few things in there that I'd never done before. And it's things that look simple as well. And funny enough, when you deliver it into the rehearsal room, they go, "Oh, it's just, yeah." Well, I found about 6 different ways by which I couldn't do it first.
And without giving anything away, I think there's one illusion in this that involves a person that I'm sure you've never ever had to do before.
Yes,
is that right? Yes?
Absolutely.
And we can't say any more than that,
Yeah.
but it's quite incredible.
Yeah, because everything I do for a play tends to be for the first time and probably the last. But whatever you do is always based on something you've done before or thereabouts. You've seen it in a book or user experience, but yeah, this is pretty new to me.
Yeah.
I worked for the New York Metropolitan Opera, did a production of Faust,
Wow.
which was great fun, and I worked for Cirque du Soleil in Montreal, and also I ran the art department for a 10-part television series in Sweden,
Okay.
which is probably my most wonderful experience, just spending 3-4 months with the Swedish community. It was just extraordinary.
Your most wonderful experience until you started work on
Absolutely.
Eastbourne's production of Invisible Man, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. And what we try and do here at Eastbourne Theatres is when we pull a team together, number one priority is just work with nice people, because it then creates a very trusting, creative atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Where people can try things. If they don't work, it doesn't matter. What was key for me in pulling this production together was to get the right team in place, and Scott was sort of the first piece of the jigsaw, really. We'd worked with Judy Gottfried, the designer. I've worked with her for years now. She knows me very well. She knows this venue very well. We were really lucky to be working with Chris Davey on lighting, who designed Around the World in 80 Days for us last year, and Charlie on sound this year. Rob Cousins is doing the music, so I was really able to pull together sort of what I've described as the A-team of creative teams. It's been great.
What I'm looking forward to is looking at the audience. I like watching my work on stage. Magicians like to perform on stage and then get the applause and enjoy the reaction.
It is
but
that
I
thing.
like to sit there and watch the reaction.
Absolutely.
Watch somebody else do it.
I couldn't agree more. And whether it's a show that's got illusions in it or just great song and dance or whatever, for me as a creative as well, to sit and watch and see. But especially with illusions, you see that kind of wide-eyed, wow, that my brain doesn't compute how that could work. So it's really fascinating.
Yes.
And it's been fascinating for me as a director, seamlessly working illusions into a strong narrative, a strong storyline. And one of the challenges for me in this is keeping elements of the story really quite naturalistic and realistic, so that when something extraordinary happens, the audience are quite gobsmacked by it. I think that's really important. It's spectacular, funny, musical, and intriguing. Something like that. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Anything from you?
Magical. You can see invisibility.
You can see invisibility,
Yes.
which is ridiculous in itself. You can see invisibility, and you literally can. That's been one of the interesting things about trying to promote this show. And so we've come up with the strapline, not seeing is believing. Because you literally see invisibility right in front of your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think most of all, you're going to experience wonder.
Yeah.
There's that one trick, isn't there, that we can't talk about now. That's probably the funniest thing
That is a perfect fusion. There's one trick, one illusion. That's the perfect fusion of magic and comedy. Is it not?
Absolutely.
And I would say there's one trick that we really can't talk about. That's the perfect fusion of magic and wonder. It's sort of jaw-dropping. So looking forward to that as well.